Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it is Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us on Monday morning. It's October 23rd. In the year 2023. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Joe Callahan at the Coffee and Table. We'll say hi to Melissa Murray. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone.
And the former mayor of the town of Cumberland, Bill Murray. No relation. Hi, Bill.
Good morning, no relations.
It's the Murray
I
Show.
don't say it that way. We've known each other.
Mm-hmm.
Both my family's from Cumberland as well, but still
Still
when
no
you're young.
relation.
Right.
Wow.
Unless it's like
That's
many,
amazing.
moons ago.
A couple of cousins removed.
Maybe.
Well, she helped me out when I had signs, and they thought I was related to Melissa. So
They're like, why do you have signs in Cumberland?
Yeah.
I don't have signs in Cumberland. And then we have the same color scheme,
That's right.
too.
Oh, you got to use
Oh,
green,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the green and blue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Smart. Well, the good news is that the Patriots won yesterday.
Yes,
So how about that?
I watched.
Shaka.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It looked like they were going to lose right
Right.
there at the end. Like, it'd be so indicative of the season for them to lose this at the end. But hey, and Mac Jones, it did better.
From what I could.
From what I could tell. And
Yeah.
if you notice, the commentators on the TV are saying the exact same things that I've been saying. And they just keep saying he's making better decisions. That's what I've been saying all season. He's making poor decisions, and that's why he keeps getting intercepted.
Yeah.
But yesterday was a much better day for him, where he's making much smarter decisions.
Well, I really
And look what happened.
I really think, and I had a tough time because we were stuck in Nantucket trying to get on a ferry. When we finally got on a ferry, when the game was on.
Did you ever TV on the boat?
Did you? Yeah. Did you ever watch one on the boat?
Well, no, it's up and down.
It's up and down. Exactly. The boats. It was very rough, and the boat with the TV trying to follow it. But in any case, I believe in following them as I do. The offensive line finally clicked.
Yeah.
And it gave him time, because I think when he doesn't have his time, that's when he makes his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw the difference of, I mean, even their running. I mean, not that they were over 100, but both Elliott and Stevenson had a couple of real nice runs, especially at the beginning of the game. So I think the change in that really had a big effect.
Well, maybe it just took all the way to this time of the season for them to finally figure out what they're supposed to do.
I didn't catch the whole thing, but I thought I heard something. They moved one of the linemen out to right tackle for the first time. What's it, Eno or something?
Enmu or something
Yeah,
like
Enmu.
that.
They moved him out because I did catch on the radio, because I had the radio on coming out of the Cape, and I did hear the fact that they moved him out to right tackle, and they felt,
Well, maybe that worked.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Okay. So they go to 2-5. It helped that the Bills made some really costly mistakes, so that was nice. First throw was an interception by Josh Allen, which is very uncharacteristic.
Yep.
So that was great. So next week, another toughie. They go down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Now, Dolphins lost last night.
I just was going to ask. I didn't see the end of the
They lost
game.
to the Eagles on Sunday Night Football, so that's great. So they can They can make some hay. So here we go. So and to those people that always say, "Oh, we should just lose the rest of the game so we can get the top draft picks," I hate that kind of thinking.
Yep.
No, it's win if you can. If we go 8-9, then we go 8-9, and that's the way it is. Don't lose to get good draft picks, because you never know how college players are going to work in the NFL. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's a bust.
Well, the Patriots have found that even without good draft
Yeah,
picks.
you're right.
They get probably the worst draft record there is in football.
So other things going on, and I'm glad Bill is here, because story in Cumberland, shooting over at Cumberland Crossing.
Yeah.
Which is right across the street from the Sierra Plaza, right there on
right at
Mendon Road. Where 295 is.
Right at
Yep.
295, yeah.
And according to Cumberland police detectives, multiple gunshots were fired. No injuries reported. They're following several leads, but doesn't look like anyone's been arrested yet. Are you hearing anything different?
No,
than
it
that?
hadn't. No. Again, I was away, but I did talk to somebody that's got some knowledge of it, and because of where it is, that's what's making it very difficult because it's right off 295, and they don't know whether somebody followed somebody in there. And then the other thing, that's an area that's rented quite a bit. And so you really don't know who's, in other words, it's not a apartment complex that you get to know all the people who are in there. I've never heard trouble there, to be honest.
Right.
I never had it when I was the mayor. Not one bit of trouble. So I think it's you just don't know if it was involved with somebody in there. But it was like
And they could have quickly left and got on 295.
Yeah, 2 or
took off
3,
in either
and
direction.
that's always the worry. Like we had the bank, which is I think partly closed now. Bank America
That's closed completely.
is it completely? I don't use it. So when I was mayor, that was held up, and that's exactly what happened. They came off 295, and they disappeared like
Like that,
and
yeah.
that's that problem in that area that we always. Well, when I say we, when I was mayor.
Now there's two other. There's a credit union and there's Coastal One and Washington Trust are right. They're even
right.
closer.
Right
to
there.
295
Well,
right
that's a prime spot. The Coastal was put up when I was mayor. The other one, which is now Washington Trust, that was always because that was a big controversy back then with the fact that they had that and they wanted to expand that shopping area, and there's a big. The neighbors were because at the corner, which is Albion Road, that's a project that's supposed to be housing that's been held up for I want to say now 8 or 9, not held up but 8 or 9, and I just actually ran into the owner of that, and he's now still fighting the town.
Is he?
And he's won a couple of times. When McKee was, when the governor was mayor, so that's supposed to go up there, and so it's been a big controversy. But before my time, the town council did a real good job in saying the only thing, believe it or not, could go up there would be a bank. And because I remember getting a call way back from the owner of that mall, and he goes, "Well, I want to put up. I think it was a fast food. I think he had a deal going."
Oh, okay.
And I said, "You can't do it. It's locked in," which is great for them. See, that's what they were fearful of.
Yeah.
Because that would be a perfect area for a
Like a McDonald's.
Well, McDonald's is right down
Yeah.
from there, so I doubt. But anybody could have come
something
in,
else, okay.
Wendy's or something, and that's what they were.
All right. Well, the police will keep involved. Looking into the shooting that took place late Saturday night. I guess it was 2 a.m. on Saturday morning.
What do we always say? Nothing good happens after midnight.
After midnight. That's
Yeah.
right.
That's correct.
Right.
I've already told my kids that for years. There's no good after that.
Well, here's
Great.
something that probably doesn't. It's not going to make you go, "Oh, really, Melissa?" But housing costs in Rhode Island are rising.
I just read the report. It's yeah.
The statewide average for a 2-bedroom apartment is $1,996.
Yep. Yep.
And now people are spending, at least 1/3 of households are now spending more than 30% of their income on rent, which makes
Sometimes,
it
more.
cost burden. They don't have
Right.
enough money left over.
To eat and to pay their
Other
electric
bills.
bills. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Never
so-
mind for an emergency.
So
Right.
to afford $1,996 a month, you need to make $80,000 a year. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been aware of these numbers
Yeah.
for a while, and it's only getting worse. And in Woonsocket, for example, when you talk about home ownership, in order to afford a median-priced home, you need to make $101,000 a year, and the median income in Woonsocket is $48,000 a year.
Wow.
So tell me
How
How
can
you
it be
do-
done? Yeah.
can it be done? It can't be done.
And that's Woonsocket. What is
That's
it?
just Woonsocket. I mean,
What is
they
it like in West Greenwich?
Oh my gosh, yes. So they That report, I have a link to it also.
Housing Work Rhode Island's
Yep, Housing Works Rhode
2023
Island.
fact book.
Facts book. I would implore everybody to read it, especially if you are in local or state government. It's just or any kind of housing or planning board. It's a must read because we have to. I don't know how we're going to address this problem. We have to address this problem. So when you say that there's a holdup on building housing in Cumberland, that makes me really worried because I didn't look at Cumberland's numbers specifically, but we all need it. We're all in the same boat. All across the
Well,
state.
there's no question. But what really is the issue, and I saw it way back again, 2015, 2019, when I was the mayor, is that you could see these properties in value. Now, a good friend of mine is George Stansfield, who was my chief of staff, is in real estate now, and I just had coffee with him. And believe it or not, what it is it's on demand. And they're buying up properties now. He's busy right now. Because I said, Josh, is it really down? No, he said, we're busy. In fact, people are paying. And it's almost, and don't get me wrong that I'm a snob, but like Cumberland, especially in the community school area, people are looking to what's the best area they can get into for their family. And they're doing everything possible, but that raises the prices because people know. If you have a house I'll give it another example. My condo, it's brand new. My condo, which I paid about $300 for, is now about $480 on the market. So there's just a condo, and so you look at that, and it's funny. I was talking to a woman the other day at VA, and. She says, I got to get out of Providence. She was lived in Providence all her life. She has 2 children. And she said, where are you from? I said, Cumberland. And she goes, oh, I've thought about Cumberland because I've checked it out. So each community attracts a certain thing. And again, it raises the prices. I have a daughter who works for the Woonsocket school system. She's been there 24 years. A couple of kids. They have a lovely house. But she and her husband have to work because it's exactly what Melissa says. Is you have to have that double income to even get close to a shot.
And how does that? There's no pathway to home ownership if you're looking at these kind of numbers. There isn't a way to make it happen.
Right.
Which is really sad.
Not when you're making 48,000 and you need to make 101.
Right.
You're
right.
You're only halfway there.
But again. What is the answer? I remember, when affordable housing. Now again, I go back to when I was mayor. We were around 7%. They wanted you at 10%, and it was a struggle because no matter what we wanted to do on the affordable housing, you get blocked.
There was somebody that didn't like it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you think about it, is that somebody invests in a house, I don't care where it is, and all of a sudden say, well, we're going to put up this affordable housing. They're not going to sit back. And I know you're more in tune to it now, but the other word that I get a lot on the couple of boards that I'm on is that no matter what happens, everybody argues now about, I don't care what you're doing. You could put up a hospital. I mean, that's what's happening.
It's
now.
the NIMBY factor, not in my backyard.
Oh,
we need this. So everyone will say, we need this, but I
not
just don't want it
here.
near me.
Yeah.
So,
Bill, as you as the mayor, you can't go out to the builders and say, well, you can't price these up in the 400,000 and 500,000 range, right?
right,
Yep.
right.
They're going to laugh at you.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to look, and I found you always have to look at both sides to it. They're in business. These, and I'm not defending the builders by any means, but they're in business and they want to make money. And when you see a shot at making money, what's happening in Cumberland, because I've had a couple of calls of, could I help, which I really can't, is that they want to do some building, and town of Cumberland has said, no, you have to have X amount on affordable housing. So, this particular, I won't obviously mention the name, he said, okay, I'm moving out of Cumberland. I'm not going to build in Cumberland.
Yeah.
So what they do is, and I think that's the other critical problem, is they jump wherever they can, and if they have a roadblock here, they'll jump
Just
to
go somewhere else.
Can they go
Yeah.
to Woonsocket as an example?
Yeah.
How couldn't somebody in Woonsocket say, "Oh, I can"? That's the problem. And,
Right.
All right.
It's the almighty buck, by the way.
It is.
That's-
Yeah.
That's what it comes
if
down
you
to.
think of it,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and Program. More is coming your way at right here on ON Radio.
This is an ad about a self-made teen. Me. See, I go to school, I do my chores, but I also have my own goals. I'm saving what I earn from making radio ads like this one to buy a gaming computer, and I'm using my Embark account to do it. With no fees, mobile banking, and a money management tool, it's like a spend account, but a lot smarter. So if you're a self-made teen like me, I suggest you get one too. The Embark account, banking for the self-made teen. Navigant Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
When you're thinking about a place to go out to eat with your family or the whole gang, or maybe something quieter for just the two of you, head over to ON Radio's website, woonsocketradio.com, and click on the restaurant guide. This gives you a listing of the best restaurants in the area. You can take a look at menus and possibly even make reservations. This is a great resource to see a bunch of restaurants all in one place. Remember, it's woonsocketradio.com and click on Restaurant Guide. And if you own a restaurant that's not already listed, call WOON Radio at 401-762-1240 for information on how your restaurant can be on the Restaurant Guide. Call Joe at 401-762-1240. The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON AM and FM.
It is Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's October 23rd. Joe Callahan here with a couple of Murrays. Melissa Murray and Bill Murray are here with us. And just taking a look at the front page of today's call, we've said it a couple of times. Sometimes the criminals are not the
brightest.
Not the brightest bulbs. So it looks like this man from Franklin, Mass. is down here in Woonsocket, and it looks like a drug deal's going bad. So he calls the police on himself to say that his drugs and his money were stolen. And so they search his car and they find more stuff, so he gets arrested.
Well, being a sport,
How funny is that?
but being a sport guy as you are, you're going to remember this. I know, unless you won't. So Eric Bonds, one of the best basketball players, was 6'10", and went to Central High School. And I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Do you remember this, Joe?
Yes, I do.
He stuck up the a bus in Providence with a Central jacket on, and the comment that was made was, "How did you know it was me?" He had a Central jacket on, which probably said Marvin.
On his
That's
own.
a true.
Oh my gosh.
That's a.
That is a true
Always.
story.
I'll never forget that.
Yep.
But it's so true. And if you talk to the police, is that in a lot of cases they know they're eventually going to find them because they're
Yes,
going to trip
they're
themselves.
gonna find you.
They're going to. I mean, it's not an easy job by any means, but guess what?
So they found like 2 ounces of crack cocaine and $2,200 in cash in his car, and there he is at the police station bragging about how potent the drugs are while they're testing it.
Oh, jeez.
This is too funny.
Well, I guess that's why he's on drugs.
Well,
Yeah, but he was driving an Alfa Romeo car.
oh my goodness.
So
So
things
he
are
called
okay.
the cops to say that someone had stolen.
Well, it's basically a drug deal going bad. So he was
yeah.
reporting
I got
a robbery.
swindled.
Yes,
Help,
that's right.
please
So
help me.
Yeah.
So yeah. But once again,
Seems
this took-
logical, right?
This took place 3:12 a.m.
Yeah.
Friday.
right. Of course it did.
And as Melissa says, nothing's good after midnight.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. So, oh well. And they're having a little trouble over there in North Smithfield. It's too bad Paul at Hamilton was not here. She could probably fill us in on this. But the Hallowell, they've decided that the Hallowell School will now become a multi-generational community center. But they don't know how they're going to fund it. The council officially approved the site. The town received a
no
$4
money.
million. Well, the town received a $4 million federal grant to fund the project, but it must foot the bill up front.
Oh,
and be
so it's
reimbursed later.
reimbursed.
Yeah.
Already the town budget is short $60,000, and the $120,000 wasn't added to this year's budget. So
Oh my gosh.
See that's
trouble.
it's trouble, and it's a trick that nobody understood. Well, now there's more money pouring in, but again, I always had the problem is that there was a lot of things you could do as long as you could match it.
Right.
And
Yeah. Municipal
could
match
could
or-
could the budget handle it? I lucked out when I bought Mercy Woods property. I brought some partners in on it, and the DEM came through with a grant. And now, like in Cumberland, Mayor Mother is moving ahead with the Diamond Hill Park, and I had people saying to me, "Well, why didn't you do it?" I said, "We were up for three times, and I couldn't back the money to do it because I had already backed the money for Mercy." So many things you can do.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble. And now there's a lot of money out there. Well, I don't know. I think it's starting to, isn't it starting to dry up a little bit
it's
now?
going to start to dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were mayor, Bill, were there any projects where you had to front the money first and then get reimbursed later?
Oh yeah,
Is that common practice?
Yeah, we had it was. Well, when you say front, what you do is that they'd come in and as an example, they'd have a project and say, all right, you have to throw in $100,000, and you had to make sure you could handle that $100,000. If it wasn't in the budget or if the council didn't want to put it in the budget, you couldn't support it. Mm-hmm. But you physically didn't have to have the money in hand to do it, but
Right.
you had to be able
So to be able to promise that you could provide it. right.
Exactly, and it happens. It happens here in Woonsocket, and that's always a caveat to getting the money. It's the old story. It's no free money out there.
That's right, yeah.
There's
That's
no
right.
free money. Believe me.
Yeah. And even if you negotiate it, you have to make sure that your council's on board. Right,
I know that well.
How
Yeah,
tough is that,
yeah.
Bill?
Oh, that was not pretty.
Oh yes,
Nah.
yes. I serve some council time as well.
Oh, I know
so,
you
yeah,
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And it depends which way the wind was blowing at the time. And
yeah.
I know my wind wasn't blowing too good.
It's like that though. It's
years.
like that in every city and town. Everyone says, "Oh, my town, my city." On the municipal level, like you're just really in it. You're in the weeds into everything, and that's just the way it is. It's not unique to
Yep.
each city and town. Everybody has their challenges.
So how does North Smithfield pull themselves out of this when they're already short and their money's not in the budget?
Well, that's the key. I mean, if I was sitting there, as a head, you got to find the money for the budget first.
Yeah.
I mean, the budget's
Yes.
the most critical. And what keeps going by the board is the taxes. I mean, that's the other fight as a municipal leader, and Melissa knows it as being on the council. You're always looking at something as to, I don't want to raise the taxes. And that goes back to what you were just talking about earlier on the affordable housing, is that I had that big problem, and I got clobbered on it because the schools wanted more, not to get into my stuff in Cumberland. And I gave the schools, my last year, $1 million. They wanted $2 million. But I wouldn't raise the taxes because Cumberland, believe it or not, you would know it because of your facts, is very high elderly population
Right.
in Cumberland. And how could I raise taxes on something that just another believe it or not, another $10? I mean, he was exaggerating, but $10 it's critical. And so that's your fight there. So
Yeah. And I think people are at that point now where, I talk to people too, where they're like, a couple of years ago I was okay, not great, but here we are 3 years later, and I'm really, if there's any change in my budget,
Yep.
I won't be able to stay in my home. So you have people who can't afford their homes, can't afford to get a home, and then you have people who are barely affording to be able to stay in their home, and they're really,
Absolutely.
really, really worried. It's a scary time for them and everybody, right? So
And you can add to that too, Melissa, is that I know, again, I'm speaking for Cumberland, it's almost impossible now to get into one of their housing, and we have 3 or 4. The waiting list
is so long.
So long.
Yeah.
Because of people just can't afford.
Yeah.
And yet you got, I had it, and I hear it now, even from people that'll run into me and kind of cry on my shoulder, is people that have lived in a house for 60, 50 years, whatever you want to say, they don't want to leave.
Right.
Right.
They are going to do everything possible, and that's another critical situation.
And it's better for the community to keep people in the community, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's better for a community to keep people in their homes. We always want to trend towards, especially for elderly, senior folks. You want to be able to keep them in their homes, keep them in their community. It's just better all around. It's really tough. I mean, it's too bad because I love the idea. I don't know the nuts and bolts of it, of a multi-generational community center. It sounds awesome, but I don't know how they're going to do it.
Okay. Well, how about what this that's going on in Lincoln now? They have a couple of bonds on their November 7th special election. One's for a $25 million bond. They want new labs, new gyms, new cafeterias at all 4 elementary schools. They just did a ton of stuff over at their
The
high school.
absolutely.
And
What
then,
a job.
and then there's a second bond for $14 million for a centralized rescued station.
That's going to
Yep.
be,
How do you get both bonds to win?
well,
It's so expensive.
Bond measures generally do pass.
yes,
They do.
I was just going to say, yeah.
But it's tough because the turnout is going to be really low, because it's, it's an off year. Well, we have the first district congressional seat, so when the folks will go to vote for that. They'll also vote for their bond measures. But the last 2 weeks of session in the General Assembly, it just seemed like almost every other bill that we were doing were cities and towns going out to bond. Everywhere from schools to, new police and fire, mostly, schools and municipal stuff. North Smithfield obviously went out to bond for the police station. So all of those bonds are going to be on the ballot this year. But there's going to be a very low turnout. So it will be interesting to see whose bonds pass and whose don't,
Absolutely. And
especially in the second to congressional district where they don't have an election.
yeah, that's true. But you look at it too, is on the bond issue. Cumberland's out with another
They go 1, 2.
bond, for the school BF Norton, which I question. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to have rocks thrown at my house. But if you look at it, we just passed an $85 million back when my last year, so it would have been 2019, making a lot of progress with we fixed up the schools and whatnot, and now you're going to go out again for another, I think it's 14. I could stand to be corrected, but I think it's 14. And I'm not saying it's not needed, but they're still on the 85 million. And now you're going to add another 14 million to it, and that's a lot of juggling. And again, it comes back to and not only on a local level. You say nationally. I try to say, you want free education, somebody pays for it.
Yeah.
I mean nothing. Well, you use something, I'll use this. Nothing is for free. We know that as an old timer.
Right.
All right, yeah, that's a tough one, and we'll see what happens in both Lincoln and in Cumberland. Do you know, are there any bond issues coming up in Woonsocket?
No.
That you were aware of?
Nope.
None? Okay.
None.
Well, that's a good thing.
Surprising.
Yeah.
It is surprising considering how much need we have in the schools.
Oh. Call my daughter. She'll give you a good
Oh,
idea.
I'm
give you a
aware.
laundry list
I'm
of
aware.
everything?
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
she's been there 24
Oh, yeah.
years,
Well,
and
she'll know then.
she's very active, and it's very difficult.
All right, we're going to take another break here on the Coffee and program. It's time for a look at the forecast, being brought to you by Unbound.org. Today will be a partly sunny day with a high temperature near 60, northwest wind 8 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, low temperature around 39, northwest wind around 6 miles per hour. Tuesday's weather, mostly sunny, high near 62. Tuesday night, mostly clear, low around 48. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high near 69. Thursday, mostly sunny, and a high near 73. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 49 degrees. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change the world, and it will change your own at unbound.org.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's fall cleaning time at Vo's True Value Hardware with special prices on wet and dry VacMaster cleaners, wheeled trash carts, and storage bins. Prepare your grass for next year with an assortment of Scott products. And don't forget the Wild Bird Seed, Vo's True Value Hardware on Cumberland Hill Road, Woonsocket, your local hardware store.
This is where it gets exciting. It's voting time for BestOfTheBlackstoneValley.com, presented by Landmark Medical Center. You can vote once a day, every day, a total of 14 days. You can vote for your favorite doctor, mechanic, anything that really floats your boat. Go to BlackstoneValley.com. Get on there, find the businesses that you like, and vote for them once a day. You can vote for 20 of them in one day. But every day, once a day, you can vote, and the voting is on now. So get on. BestOfTheBlackstoneValley.com.
All right, it is Coffee Ann here on ON, AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callan here with former mayor of the town of Cumberland, Bill Murray, and Melissa Murray is here as well. Other things going on in the news time, baseball. ALCS, NLCS is going on. Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros are tied at 3 apiece, with Nathan Eovaldi winning last night for Texas. And why can't we get? We should
get a picture
like for the Boston Red Sox, Melissa, and we let him go.
Well, why not spend money to have a picture like that?
I don't want to spend money.
I know that's clear.
Which is why we ended up in last place. All right, but that's exciting stuff going on there, and it's so we'll see what if they can move on. I thought Houston would take care of them pretty easily, but Texas is hanging in there. All right, back here in Rhode Island, there was a crash in Johnston on Route 6 going eastbound right near Atwood Avenue. 5 people were hospitalized, and it looks like the Rhode Island State Police cruiser was involved in the crash as well.
Oh no.
Yeah. It didn't say if the cruiser, if the trooper was involved or that went to the hospital, just as the cruiser was involved in the crash. But 5 people went to the hospital.
It's a tough road, Atwell.
Right there, Atwood.
Atwood, yeah. Atwood. And
when you're coming down Route 6 to
right.
Where 295 is.
Was it a chase?
Who knows? It doesn't say. Maybe it was. It says Sunday night. Doesn't give us a time. But
after 12 o'clock?
It doesn't say.
After midnight.
Certainly possible. So that's what took place there. And then, just another bizarre story was the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. They had a death of a 15-year-old. Not a baby.
Right.
A teenager.
Yeah.
That's not typical.
That is not typical. It's like, So the incident took place on Friday. DCYF has released very little information due to confidentiality laws, so they can't really release much. And the Office of the Child Advocate has been advised, and the department will only say that the family was known to the agency. I don't know what that means.
Well,
known to them as being good, known to them as being bad.
Well, they're known.
But they're known.
Yeah.
They're in our files.
Well,
okay.
I would hope that you would know the families that were in your files.
Well, yes. But
wouldn't that indicate there's a problem if they have a file?
Possibly.
Right?
Possibly, right.
That's what
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll hear more about this.
Yeah. How it doesn't say how the 15-year-old died or anything like that yet. So that's all still to come. So
right? Was it? Yeah. Who knows?
Don't know. So
at that age, could have been self-inflicted under
Could have
their
been.
care, and they're still, liable. But we'll have to see.
I always find it
It's very sad.
And the suicide is up
Could be.
so much. That's the other. These kids are so fragile.
I laugh at these kind of stories because of all the weddings I've been to. I mean, not a fight. Never mind someone getting arrested. Not even a fight breaks out.
No,
But this
nor I.
wedding that took place in Newport.
Oh yes, this
Back
one.
in September.
Oh, I
Additional
laugh.
charges alleged in the roles of confrontation with the police officers, and the woman, Rachel Onick, accused of trying to remove 2 officers' guns
Yeah.
from
Oh,
their
yeah.
holsters, not
Yeah.
one.
No.
Didn't learn the first time.
Nope.
Twice. Went to the other officer, tried to get the gun out.
What drinking will do to you.
I mean, talk about.
Well, I was
smart.
sad. I was at Nantucket, my niece's wedding, 180 people.
Well, that's a good sized wedding.
Fun wedding. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no trouble. I mean, if anything, everybody was hugging. I mean,
It's usually funerals where people get into
That's right. Exactly.
arguments, but
Yeah,
not
yes.
not
No.
generally fisticuffs. But
No.
funerals always bring out the worst in families. But generally weddings, no.
no weddings.
people
Everybody's
were-
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 people were arrested though at this frickin'
Yeah, it was a
in-
it was
in
a
Did you?
September. That's
I
pretty
saw.
wild. It was a
I saw.
ruckus.
Well, I saw when they came outside. They came outside this
Okay,
place.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that one of them showed this. It must have been the same woman who cold cocked the policeman's. All he's trying to do. See, they're in a difficult position.
Yeah.
Because they got to create order, and then if you get I shouldn't say that, but if you get a person like this, the cop is trying to
Do his job.
She slugged him. You could see it
Yeah.
on the video.
Wow.
I mean, here's a guy, say 6'4", 6'2". He's going to stand there and take this. Are you kidding?
and this was all because they were not allowed to go into a
Into
bar and
right,
drink more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is all about.
Yep.
Oh, why was it closed at the time, or
I
were they?
No, they
think
were
that
drinking.
they were-
They were drinking, and excuse me for
Yeah, no,
interrupting.
I think
but
they wanted to continue to drink.
Yeah,
right?
they wanted to continue, and
All right.
I guess from what I read through it, was that the bouncer wouldn't let them in, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they got into a fight with the bouncer because the police were called, and
All right.
they were outside, and that's when all hell
that's
broke
my
loose.
understanding as well. The bouncer said, no, last call is in 15 minutes from now. And,
Yeah. So no.
And
All
so
right.
no, clearly, that was probably the correct choice.
Yep.
But who knows what would have happened if they had continued
This was
to
after midnight, by the way.
imbibe. Yes, it was. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Was the wedding like party itself involved? 'Cause-
Doesn't say. Just says 6 people.
no, these
were
poor
arrested. Doesn't
folks,
say
these
who.
poor folks who got
From
married.
the wedding.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
These poor folks who got married. Probably
Oh,
like
wait a minute. If it's
more-
the same,
mortified,
excuse
right?
me, I think the bride was involved in it.
I
Because
don't
he
know.
I
said
don't
something
I don't
about she left
remember.
for a honeymoon.
Yeah.
I could be corrected, but
Oh dear.
I want to say that.
I was gonna say, is this how you want your wedding to be remembered? You spend all
memorable.
that money, right? Because
That's-
weddings are
that's right.
expensive. They're
Yep.
super expensive.
Ooh.
You spend all that money, and you'll always remember the day because it was
That's
in the
for sure.
paper and ongoing litigation.
All right. Well, up in Massachusetts, the former governor, Charlie Baker, says he was not informed of serious problems on the Green Line extension. And MBTA General Manager Phil Eng confirmed that 2 senior managers knew that some of the tracks were defective on the new rail back to April of 2021. They have been fired.
Oh my
Now,
goodness.
yeah, the former managers apparently knew some of the rails were an eighth of an inch too narrow,
I can't believe he didn't.
but
know.
allowed the line to open last year.
And he's saying he didn't know.
Well, Eng is saying he didn't know, but now they found out about it, and they got rid of these guys.
Yeah, I know
knew
that.
back to
But the
April
governor
20.
said he didn't
Well, the
know.
governor says he doesn't know. He was not informed.
It's hard to believe because they've had trouble on that line for
Well, Governor Healy,
many years.
Healy confirms it was not disclosed to Baker before he left
okay.
office.
Well, maybe it wasn't.
And she praised Eng for identifying the issue and taking action. But that was when that job came available, headed the T. They said, "I don't know who's going to take this over." The myriad of problems that it has, and here's something else:
Yeah.
the rails. I've never heard that the rails are too narrow.
So I worked for many years up in Boston. Drove
take
from
the T?
Cumberland. No, not at all. As far back as I can remember, there's always been a problem.
Yeah.
It's always been, and then as you grow through this, there's always accidents. There's always mishandling. Oh yeah, I mean
Stoppage.
I
Gotta
mean,
get off, get on the bus. The rail doesn't work.
you know, but you say that. I also grew up in New York, and the subway system in New York, still to this day, is an absolute. Well, it's worse now. It's a
Is it?
nightmare on violence. But back in my days, and I used to travel into New York from Queens, where I lived, and you had no choice but to go by transit. It was always on. I never
Always on
ran
time.
correct. Oh, it was always
Dependable.
never. So those are all big city issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
Public
find?
transportation.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then you look at it, and people say, "Why don't we have better public transportation?" Like, go back to Providence and all the trouble we have when we only have buses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if we had
Subways.
and oh my God! But and you see the trouble there. I know Avedisian very well, and I know him as a former mayor with me, and I've had kind of some side talks with them. Is that they have a nightmare on their hands, and you must know it pretty much because it comes back to you, not you personally.
Right.
But it's
legislature,
it's a legislature, sure.
Well, the T, we had the story last week. T said that because they did a big push on to come work for the T, and they were looking for a lot of people in all different departments, and they said they hired 1,000 people,
Oh my gosh.
but 600 people have also left, quit, fired,
Why?
retired since the beginning of the year.
So they hired.
So they've
1,000
netted
and they
netted
lost.
400 so
Yeah.
far.
So let me ask you a question.
All right.
You hire that many people. Mm-hmm. Do you think you've got the best that you're hiring?
Well,
Right.
probably not.
That's my question.
And then some of those folks that you're losing, they're taking that institutional knowledge with them.
Yeah.
So-
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
So I don't know what the
I just can't.
answer is for this.
I remember in Providence. I don't know how long ago. It wasn't too far back when they hired. They had to hire. Well, they still do, but they had to hire police, and they had a class of like say 60, and oh my God, they got in, and they really wanted to hire badly, and they got in, and I think they weeded out 30 eventually. Because people are going to apply, they want a job, but the ones that are applying are not the cream of the crop, as they say. Not that you're going to get it, but you try to get as close as you can.
try.
It's tough.
We've talked to the chief and the deputy chief here in Woonsocket about recruitment, and back in the day
Yeah.
when the deputy chief wanted to get into the force, 700 applicants,
Yep. Same thing.
and now
Nope.
you're lucky if you get 25
Yeah.
looking to
And we have
pursue a career in law
Yeah,
enforcement.
we
It's
have
not a
to eat.
profession that people are really wanting to do now.
Mm-hmm.
But do you blame it when you're on that subject? Do you blame it with everything that's going on? And it's a shame. I mean, and everybody has a video, and you're always wrong. Look at that. I don't know whether you read it, but there's a case down. So this guy naked chased those girls.
That was in Bristol,
Bristol.
and the cops shot him in the parking
Yeah.
lot.
Well, now the family of this guy is. How did you do it? Why did you do it?
He
Shoot
ran his
him.
car into the girls.
I'm just telling you what.
But we had this discussion. We were like, "Oh, I bet the guy's family is going to come and."
Oh, he did.
Right,
They did.
so,
they just came
yeah.
out. Just came out.
So saying,
Yeah,
Saying,
saying they shouldn't have
well,
done
they
it.
shouldn't have. He's a really not a bad guy, and he was. I guess his mother died, and he had taken it very. Are you kidding me?
He's
Are
taking
you
it back.
must be kidding? And that's what happens. So here's this policeman who's on. By the way, on desk duty.
you're right, 'cause it
where
happens in the parking
He
lot.
ran out,
yeah.
and now he's got to answer to him. Why did you shoot him? They didn't hit him once, twice, and then
Yeah.
he almost ran over a off-duty cop.
And the girls got injured.
Yeah.
When he hit their
Yeah.
car.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So how do you stop someone in a vehicle?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a deadly weapon as well.
And then
It's a really awful
right.
situation.
and then you look at it.
But they didn't kill him, so
No, and the you can imagine. Well, you don't want to imagine. But the other problem is that he could have done. Say he got away.
Yeah.
Forget Bristol, with a police station. He goes back on the road. He could kill kill or hurt somebody else, some innocent people.
Could have gone on Metacom Avenue.
And you know, oh
started
yeah,
crashing his
that
car.
area is like narrow
Yes.
and busy and everything else.
Wow. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't hear that his family came forward. And
They just
I'm
did.
not surprised.
are they saying they're suing or anything
No,
like that?
no
yet?
suing. They just can't. They want
answers.
answers as to why did he didn't die? He's
Right.
he's got. I figure he got shot. I mean, he's recovering.
Yeah.
But they can't understand why it wasn't handled differently. Are you?
How about he attacked the girls at Colt State Park?
That
and then chased
no,
them?
that's and how
Is that-
about their mental? So you have, if it was one of your daughters or whatever, how do you think mentally they are? Now that it's over, but to have all this go on,
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
think this is going to bother them?
Sure.
Well, it's like you wouldn't wish that on any of you. You know, just
Yeah,
the
they're-
mental end of it.
Wow. All right. More Coffee and coming up. We ask you to please stick around.
The Woonsocket Call is more than just your printed community newspaper. WoonsocketCall.com offers online articles for instant access to the news you want whenever and wherever you want it. All the community news and information you need to know is just a click or a tap away. And now, when you subscribe to our print edition, you'll get full access to the web edition at no extra cost. That's right. For just $15.99 per month, you'll get full access to our online paper as well as our daily printed paper, or sign up for the digital subscription for just $10.99 a month. To subscribe now, call this number, 767-8504. That's 767-8504. The Call and woonsocketcall.com. Here for you.
Hi, this is Yvette Houle. Holy Trinity Parish Christmas Bazaar and Craft Fair is Saturday, November 4th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Parish Hall, 1371 Park Avenue, which is handicap accessible. Come browse the many gifts, crafts, and much more. There will be gift certificate raffle, split the pot, theme baskets, baked goods, and special raffles. Visit Santa, give him your wish list, and take photos with the children. There will also be a children's craft area to keep the children busy while the parents shop. Kitchen will be open for lunch and will include the popular dynamites, meatball sandwiches, hamburgers, hot dogs, fries, onion rings, and Venus de Milo soup. For further information, contact me, Yvette Houle, at 766-5663.
It's time to get out the vote for the very best of the BlackstoneValley.com, presented by Landmark Medical Center. Got a favorite burger, favorite gym, a doctor, place to shop? Vote for them and more at the bestoftheblackstonevalley.com now until November 1st. Show your support for the local businesses in the Blackstone Valley and let your voice be heard by voting for the businesses you love. Vote now through November 1st. Daily, once a day, at bestoftheblackstonevalley.com.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ONO Radio. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with former mayor of the town of Cumberland, Bill Murray, and Melissa Murray is here as well. Well, they're having a little fun up in Lancaster, Massachusetts. 20 inmates at the state maximum security prison up there. They're on a hunger strike. Up there, they don't like the living conditions. Multiple inmates in the secure adjustment unit at the prison allege they have been repeatedly assaulted by the guards. The inmates have told Attorney General Andrea Campbell that the current conditions amount to solitary confinement, which the state had pledged to eliminate in 2021. Campbell's office confirms receiving the inmates' letters and say they're being reviewed.
So what is their unit called? I was going to
The
ask.
Secure Adjustment Unit.
Okay, my first question was, what does that mean?
Well, it's maximum security, so...
Right, secure adjustment unit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, so maybe they said, okay, we're going to eliminate solitary confinement, but we're going to do this and we're going to call it something else. Right, we don't know.
Possibly. Yeah.
Not a fan. Not a fan of solitary confinement. I don't think it's. I don't think it's helpful.
All right.
What is helpful? What is helpful when you have dealing with people like they deal with? And I'm not taking a stance. I'm just saying that's the other difficult fine line you're walking. And I believe me, I've been in the ACI many times over the years. Not as a not a
Visitor.
As a, let me clear that as a visitor. I want to make sure, I don't want to ruin the Murray name, by the way. But anyway, what do you do? These people are. I did a lot of work in there when actually I was the president of the Woonsocket JCs, and we ran a punt, believe it or not, a punt, pass, and kick years ago down in the ACI. and I got to know them. Convicts are convicts. They're, in some cases, real bad individuals, and probably worse now. I'm going back. So I was in the 70s. So I'm going back in the 70s when I had that, and back then it was bad. And so, not saying that's the right way, but how do they deal with it? Because they deal with these, and they're animals. That's why they're in there in most cases, unless it's a big, been a mistake. But
Any response, Melissa?
Yeah, I really have a lot of reservations about solitary confinement, when and how it's used. We definitely need some reform there. I think that, at the end of the day, the way you treat people, even people who are criminals, reflects on us as a society. And I think in some cases there is abuse. I mean, and it's always right. It's the convict's word against the officers. What makes us think that they're not sometimes right? And I think, but again, when nobody's there, when it's a single, person, when they're put in solitary for however long, sometimes without food. I mean, we've seen cases in private prisons. This happens, I think, way more often. Where and like I think it was Georgia, where this poor guy was in solitary and died in solitary, and he was covered in in insects and had no clothes on, and it was horrible conditions. And I'm not saying that's happening there, but I'm just saying that it does happen. So I think we need to look at both sides.
Okay. My daughter is taking a criminal justice class next semester, but the class is taking it this semester. They make a trip to the prison that's in Walpole, and she's already got the list of the things that you can wear or should wear, and the things you cannot wear, and it's mostly for the women, and no skirts, no dresses for the ladies. But someone went and basically were wearing what you're wearing, Melissa. We'll put Melissa on, and
They're wearing a Prince T-shirt.
Well, it wasn't Prince, but it was a T-shirt like that. Well, your arms, you're showing way too much skin. They wouldn't let her in. There was a boy there that was wearing a hoodie sweatshirt.
they wouldn't let him in.
No,
Well,
he was
they
wearing
did.
a button-down shirt. He said, "How about if I give her my sweatshirt?" And that was fine.
Oh, okay.
Because it covered her up
I
more.
see it. Well, they got to.
And take your cell phones away because they might try to steal it.
Yep. yep.
And your wallets and things like that. Anything of any kind of value. Usually these people are pretty good because they're in this project that they do to meet
Right.
with the students, but you never know.
So is it because, okay, so I have a T-shirt on. It's normal T-shirt that everybody wears. Is it because the skin is showing, or are they worried about them being like lacerated or hurt and having some
No,
kind
skin
of...
showing.
The skin is showing.
It,
Sorry.
supposedly,
They want long sleeves.
but I'll give you another. I'm going to go back to a old story. Is when we dealt with the ACI, and I've been to a dance for the mentally ill that they sponsored. See, they had a chapter, a JC chapter back years ago in the ACI. That's how we were involved. Was when Socket and I remember them. Now we brought in a group. I don't know where they were from. They ran a dance. The ACI ran a dance, separate, and it was. I grant it was hand-picked convicts. Well, you would know, and you think those kids knew that these guys were convicts, and they were so nice to them, and everything. So you see both, both ends of it, but the long and short of them, and they're in there for a reason, and it's a tough situation. It's a fine line you're walking. Again, that's another
It
one.
is. It's crazy that, the sight of your arm,
Yeah,
like it,
man.
like, oh no, an ankle.
That's the way it is with them. They, when I asked my daughter, I said, "What did your friends think after the whole thing?" And they're like, "Well, you just don't want to go to prison.
No.
it is
you
dull
don't.
and depressing in there."
And
Yeah.
by the way, this is not bad up here. Like you mentioned, Georgia. I've heard stories of the southern prison. Well, let's not even talk about the United States. Don't go to prison in a country.
Another country?
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
there. I mean,
Right.
there is. That's the thing. and they have, and they actually have done more in the prison system as far as the conditions. Where before you wouldn't even hear about it. Who cared about the conditions? You asked to go in there, and you're in there. But they've come a long way. But down south, they say,
worse.
Oh God Almighty!
Oh, those stories are just terrible.
No, they are
Terrible.
They are.
All right, on another note, Pentagon officials say they've received over 270 new reports of UFOs over an 8-month span this year. All right.
Oh, must be real.
The Defense Department released a new report to Congress that said 274 new UFO sightings have been reported to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which leads the government's efforts to document and analyze UFO sightings. Pentagon said the majority of the reports come from military service members and commercial airline pilots who are up there.
Oh, I was just going to say they have a bird's eye view.
They have a better view than we do,
Yeah,
so we don't
It was
know.
all the same 3 people.
We don't know. We don't know what it was. So hey, maybe.
Well, maybe.
Well,
I
Michigan,
don't believe it. But
Michigan State University officials, they're apologizing.
Again?
Well, they weren't apologizing for their football team, although the team lost. But they're apologizing after a photo of Adolf Hitler was displayed on the stadium video board during pregame activities
I did hear
at
that.
Saturday's football game against the University of Michigan. The image was shown as part of a trivia question. A school spokesperson said the material was provided by a, quote, a third-party source, unquote, that the university will no longer use. And Michigan won 49-0. So
Yeah, well, that was
Michigan State's not very
so
good
it's
this
part
year,
of
I
a
guess.
trivia, a history question, presumably.
I guess,
like-
or who looks like this character? Who looks like this person?
Yeah.
We just can't. You just can't use Hitler in a
No.
in an entertainment kind
And
of
especially
way.
at this time
With what's going on in the
with
Middle
what's
East?
going on in the Middle East. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is
You
a
just
touchy.
Yeah.
It's so vulnerable right now,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you look and no matter what side. Well, not what side, but it's just awful. It's what we're facing
Yeah,
now.
the atrocities.
Oh, it's
are
awful.
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 I think what we had on national news that said our government that's saying can you please, it's so weird to say, can you please hold off on your ground attack until we get more people out of Gaza and then go in.
Yeah, and it's one of it is we'll get. You really think we're going to get the hostages out of there?
No,
No.
No.
There's
I
no.
really don't.
And you know,
can
what,
negotiate as much as they want.
I can't just understand, and and here's Israel, and we're giving them all the support in the world, and yet we're going to say to them, "Don't do, please."
Wait.
Oh, yeah, wait for what? After what we've seen, and what's the best example is the bombing. Is that how quick people reacted to the bombing,
Of the
especially
of the hospital?
of the hospital, and then it came out there was no crater which a bomb will create. They still haven't seen. There's no bodies.
No?
I mean, they haven't. Not that I've read. I don't know if anybody else. They even admitted that these are homemade bombs. That 40% of them usually malfunction. And yet, right away, everybody jumped on Israel,
No, I know.
and they ran with it. And in fact, IOC or
AOC.
AOC was on this morning. I heard that earlier this morning, and they're still I mean, I just don't understand it. And then you get the schools that are allowing Harvard, Brown to some extent.
Well, it's
Some of them.
It's free speech, Bill.
I understand.
We allow
I
that to
fully
do it.
understand
It
it,
is.
but a lot of them are here with visas, and
I know.
I don't want to say what it's really on my
All
mind.
right. Here's a good animal. Well, it's not a good animal story
Oh,
for
no.
you. Sorry about that.
Uh-oh.
Cincinnati Zoo employee was rushed to the hospital last week after she was bitten by a venomous snake.
Oh,
Yeah, the eastern diamondback rattlesnake is considered to be the largest rattlesnake in the world and the largest venomous snake in North America. Yikes. Now, the bite took place behind the scenes at the zoo, so none of the visitors saw this take place. But no anti-venom was required for the worker who was expected to be okay.
so she or he was
she
was bitten by the largest, most venomous snake in the world.
Largest venomous snake in North America.
In North America.
Largest rattlesnake in the world, though. So this is a good-sized snake.
Right. So I was bit by the largest rattlesnake in the world, and I was fine. Right.
And
I
I
mean, like,
lived.
that's crazy.
I'm still gonna work with him.
And she's going back to work.
Well, it doesn't say that.
Okay.
It just
I would-
says
I
she didn't die.
mean-
She's fine. She's gonna be okay.
I would guarantee she will go back to work.
She probably will.
If
She
anybody's-
likes working with these.
Yeah,
kind of
I was just
animals.
going to say, if she likes it, all right, I survived that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a wild animal. Like
That's right.
in
That's right.
captivity.
What are the
It's
odds that I'll
probably
be
not too happy.
What are the odds that I'll be bitten again?
Well, hopefully not. But that venom
Ooh,
is going to
I
mess up
know,
your
that's-
nervous system. So you're wondering if she's going to have any
What
long
damage-
effects,
what
right?
yeah.
Like she might be okay, but like
Mentally, who knows?
yeah.
All right.
Let me say she'll handle them better the next time.
A lot more protective
Yeah, that's
gear.
right.
Yeah.
All right, we got to run. We come to the end of the program, so thank you very much for listening. Melissa Murray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Have
All
a
right.
great week, everyone.
Former Mayor of Town of Cumberland, Bill Murray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, and everybody again, have a great weekend. Nice weather coming up, so enjoy.
yes.
Let's hope so. All right, this is Joe Callahan. Stay tuned for Leslie Page at the Library and Food First with Karen Zangari is coming up next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
A U.S. Dartmouth student is being charged with an accident that resulted in a fellow student's death. The incident occurred on April 6th when the campus police were called to Ring Road. They found 19-year-old Frank Patillo Jr. of